Hi, everyone, and welcome into this latest edition of the Michigan State Spartans Insider Podcast. I'm your beat reporter from Michigan State Spartans on SI, Aidan Champion. Today, we're going to be diving into the biggest questions surrounding Michigan State football. There's probably more than we're going to get into, but I want to just kind of go over the ones that are most glaring for this team. I think obviously, and I won't talk too much about this one because we've just already talked so much about it. But the quarterback room, specifically Aiden Childs, just biggest question whether he's going to take that next step because we know the ceiling is very high for Aiden. Could be, one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten, and there's a lot of good ones. But we saw signs of it last year where Aiden was so good as a dual threat quarterback, where he, you know, you saw his potential. Um, and I think he got a little better throughout the season. Nothing where it was like by the end you're thinking, okay, this guy, yeah, he's one of the best there is in this conference. But you saw, you know, steady improvement, I think, throughout. It didn't help that they went 5-7, but I do believe he will take the next step. How big a leap? Uh, I don't know, and that's what I'm most interested to see if he does elevate his game to being, one of the quarterbacks people are talking about most when you think of the Big Ten. And it's tough because, like I said, lots of good talent at the quarterback position in this conference, which is probably the best conference college football now. And so it's a lot of guys that, you'd be in good company if you were considered one of them. Um, Moving on though to running back room, I think um, biggest question: does Michigan State, um, get back on track with the run game? Um, I've made it clear that I thought you should have gotten someone. Frankly, you should have gotten someone better than Elijah Tolliver in the portal. That's no diss to him. Probably sounds like it. Um, and if I were him and I heard that, I'd feel like it was one, but it's not. I just think you know um, that was a glaring need. You had your only two options really um, were Makai Frazier, Brandon Tullis, and two guys who each only took 7 carries a piece last year. And so I think that should have been a real strong priority. You only get one running back in the portal, I believe. Um, and I just thought it should have been, someone maybe from a bigger school or, um, just someone higher caliber. But Tolliver is good. I do expect him, to probably win the job. And Jonathan Smith likes to use multiple backs, so we'll be seeing more than just him back there if he is starting running back. But I think that's a huge question: is does Michigan State's run game get back on track? Is the offensive line able to create holes and block up front for to create production in the run game? I think the offensive line, you're pretty stable there. I like who they brought in a lot. Um, I'm not too concerned with that. If I was, that'd be one of my glaring questions too, just because of, that was one of their biggest weaknesses last year was offensive line. Um, but I think they fixed it. You can consider it a question because it remains to be seen, but it's not something that I'm looking at things that I think are still an issue. And you can say, well, you mentioned Aiden Childs. Do you think he's an issue? No. Um, the thing with that though, I just think Aiden's season or the next step he takes is more up in the air than where you are on the offensive line. Just to clear that up before I get people in my ear on that one. But um, the other question I'm looking at is the defensive line, particularly edge rushers, defensive ends, and more specifically, getting to the quarterback. Because obviously, that was a huge concern for Michigan State last year. Um, Unable to get to the quarterback to create plays in the backfield, and that was a major concern. You're not going to win games when you're unable to do that. They started the season real well last year, doing so, but then it just fell off. And I think, they know now that you got to place an emphasis on that all the way through the season. But I'm just interested to see if the guys they brought in on the edge are going to be, good enough to do that. Um, you did have a lot of good guys in that front seven last year. Um, that just, for whatever reason, struggled at getting to the quarterback. So um, definitely an area I will be looking at next year. With all that said, thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm a little distracted here. I've got the Knicks and Pacers game on in the background. So that's why I keep looking away. I apologize. But um, with all that said, thank you everyone as always for tuning in. And we're nearly to the weekend, nearly to Memorial Day. And I hope you all have a great rest of your week and are looking forward to this holiday weekend. So thank you.